Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name's Justin Harris. Welcome to Monday Musings. Uh, Today, we're going to talk about training plans, how I view them, and uh, the mistake that people go through, all right, and treating them like checklists, all right. Uh, Again, my name's Justin Harris. I've been coaching and racing for over 20 plus years, coaching for around 20 speed and power athletes, endurance athletes. I was a professional triathlete myself. And we, just speed and power, endurance, beginners to Olympians. Let's get into it. So, how I use training plans and how most coaches use training plans is essentially a training plan is not a checklist. All right. It's really a system. Early on in our coaching, uh, we think very much like athletes in the sense that, like, here are all the things reverse engineered that I need to do. And we do create a checklist. I have to get a VO2 max. I have to get a threshold. I got to get a long run in. Okay. I got to get strength, mobility, all these things. And it becomes this massive checklist to do. Okay. And eventually you keep improving as a coach, and not always as an athlete, but we move from a checklist to a system. And the way we do that is that each session is placed where it is because of what came before it. So we're thinking like, okay, if Wednesday we're going to do this, what do we do Tuesday, Monday, Saturday, right? Then we're looking at what we were going to do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All right. And we think about this because these things interplay on each other a lot. All right. So we think of what happens before, we think about what happens after, and we really are focusing on how stress accumulates across days. All right. Matt talks about this a lot, progressive overloading. And I think it's really important uh, that we understand this concept as coaches, because athletes treat this as a checklist and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be tired all the time. Right. This is just training. This is what I'm used to. All right. And it bites us in the butt in certain ways. And I'll say this is like, when a workout is missed, how do you treat it? And that's going to be all telling for me how I, as an experienced coach, are going to coach you, right? When a workout is missed, the plan is not automatically broken. Like, we're not going to stuff it back in. We're not going to rearrange the whole schedule. All right. This is something I did as an athlete and I did as a beginning coach. In my early days, I would spend 3 hours writing someone's training plan, like a 3-week plan. And then I would sit there and, like, if an athlete was like, hey, I couldn't get this in, I would go through my checklist and be like, okay, we need to get this in. So I would start stuffing it in. And it would take me a while to rearrange the week because what comes before it and what comes after. And I'm like juggling all these things. All right. For a runner or a cyclist or a swimmer, it's only one modality. As a triathlete and a triathlon coach, we have 3 quality sessions a week, right? VO2 max, threshold, long. All right. And then aerobic runs, right? But let's just say quality. So I need 3 quality swims, 3 quality bikes, and 3 quality runs. Okay. That's 9 quality sessions. So you start to think about, okay, this is not all going to fit this checklist in 1 week. All right. And that thinking has moved me to become a better sprints coach, endurance coach, athlete who's doing a single modality, athletes who are doing multiple, because it's like, as long as we get the quality inside 2 weeks, we're not losing it. All right. So, like, let's say VO2 max. All right. I do it on a Monday. If we're doing one sport, we can do it every Monday. But if we're doing multiple sports, like, well, we need to do it in one modality, running on the first Monday, let's just say, and we compare it up with swim because it's low musculoskeletal load, low pounding, right, on the body. And then the next week I'm going to do on the bike. So metabolically, we're getting it every week, but the modality, we're getting it every other week. And that's good enough. All right. But when a workout is missed, again, the plan is not broken. All right. In many cases, the best decision is to let that session go and protect the sequence that follows, because the sequence is more important than the session. Okay. For example, I had an athlete. Are they here? No, they're not here yet. I had an athlete who had a very long weekend and they had a big week of training. And they were like, hey, I can't get in today's session, which is quality. Mondays start with quality. Let's start off the week right, right? And they're like, can you reorganize the week? And we haven't been working together a year yet. And I was just like, I was like, oh, let me see if I can make it in. Because I know that session is a priority for them because we're working into a high rocks event and it's a high rocks type workout. And then I just sat there. I'm like, wait, she's tired. So I'm thinking about the week she had previously. It was a bigger ask than normal. And she's got some stuff going on in her life. And now she can't make today because she's tired. So I'm just like, you know what? Just skip today. Not that I'm being a lazy coach, right? If it was a checklist, I got to fit it in somewhere. But because I'm not a lazy coach and I understand I'm like, she's tired. This high quality high rock session is going to kick her butt. And so let's just skip it this week because we did it last week and we'll do it next week. And so it fits inside that kind of 10 to 14 day window of if we exceed 14 days, if we don't use it, we kind of lose it, right? So the best decision here to be consistent is actually to take today off for them. And they were like, and they trust me and they're like, thank you. I think that's the right call, right? So moving workouts around to make them up often create more fatigue, not more fitness, right? So she's already tired, right? And this is one example of many. She's tired. So we're going to move the biggest bang for the buck workout, like the biggest, hardest workout of the week. And now I'm going to move it to Tuesday. All right. Right. She's already tired. Now she's going to do this session because she's excited. And when we're excited for things, we're going to bury stuff. It's not a problem that people are tired and training a little bit. It's okay. Right. But I know the other stress that she's going through. So then we come to Wednesday is like usually an off aerobic day. And then Thursday is next to our quality and then Saturday's quality. So now I'm compressing the week into the back half and it can become really dense. And again, making this session up or even stuffing it on another day, it's not, now we're going to have quality day. So I could go Tuesday, Wednesday, it just gets, it's a slippery slope, right? So what I want to say is skipping sessions inside of a system is not punishment. All right. I know a lot of my type A clients are used to, if it's on the piece of paper, if it's in the training app, I'm doing it. And I remember having this conversation with the engineer that I was coaching for Ironman, full distance Ironman, Cozumel. We took a 1.5-year approach at it. And he was living in New York, working in Colorado, putting a pipeline down. So he'd fly out there on Monday away from his family, be there by himself Monday through Friday, and come home Friday night or Saturday morning. And so he had a lot of time to train. And he's an engineer, a very successful one. And he comes out and we sit down and I'm like, okay. And I'm like, dude, like don't stuff this in, do this here, right? And he was like, Justin, just tell me put it on the piece of paper, put it in the spreadsheet and I'll do it. I looked at him and I said, Chris, less engineer, more artist, less science, more creativity. I said, you're more dynamic than this, just to like blinders on, like do what's on the piece of paper. I'm trying to teach you how to work through this. And I do this with a lot of my clients. I did it today with another client. They went on a trip, they had a lot of activities, did the running, and now they came back really tired and a little bit more banged up than when we left. And so it's this conversation of like, hey, you're not wrong. I'm not saying bad job. I'm educating you because training is a system. It's not just a checklist. All right. And this is why training plans, static ones that are not being coached in some way are very challenging to execute well because people see it as a checklist and not a system. And when coaches are writing it, it's a system. All right. And so anyway, so when this person was tired and they wanted to stuff the session in later, I just said, no, skip it. Right. Again, going back to this, that skipping something is not a punishment because training is a system. All right. If you're willing to, oh no, what was I going to say? Oh yeah. Skipping's not punishment. Anyway, it's sometimes the correct application of restraint, right? Is just understanding the confidence that we don't need to stuff everything in. If you expect every missed session to be rescued, my coaching model and most coaches who've been around for 10 plus years, it's going to feel really frustrating, right? And some of my clients early on, and some of my clients who have a tough time trusting, even after success, 6-10 minutes off in a marathon, and they're still questioning the process. That's okay. We'll be here for it. Um, but they're used to static plans, and they're like, they don't want things to be moved around or skipped or shifted, right? And again, this is all kind of comes into kind of the secret sauce of being an endurance athlete and a coach, right? So anyway, if, as I tell my clients, if you're willing to respect sequence over perfection, it becomes so freeing, because there's, especially when you're being coached, it's like cognitive offload. I have a client who does some risk management for a major bank, financial institution. And I'm like, hey, bud, like cognitive offloading is probably like 90, can be like 80% of the return on investment, right? Is that you're not thinking of like, how am I going to fit this workout? Where am I going to do this? What do I do? How do I, and it's like, I'm teaching you how to do it. And you can go out and execute things and have a little bit more trust. And when I say, hey, we're skipping it, it's not because I'm being lazy. It's because it's the right thing. So anyway, curious how you view training. Have you ever been stuck, or are you currently stuck in looking at your training as a checklist that you, hey, I have to check all these boxes and get it all done? Have you evolved from that at all? Any hard lessons there? I'm really curious about what's going on. So, and no wine today. Nice local hazy IPA. So, anyway, let's see if anyone, where my peeps at. All right. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, or Facebook or YouTube, you can put a question in the chat and I'll answer it. Let's see. What's up, Nicole? What's up, Brittany? Adam? Jenny from the A. What's up, Karina? Roberto? Pierce? Pierce, great job in the mountain bike yesterday. What's up, Austin? Who's this? Chrissy. Nazreen. Jenny from the A. My training plan is a part-time job, and you don't get paid. And you don't get paid for overtime. Yeah. Again, there's a lot of moving pieces, and this is why I just, like one-on-one coaching is really worth it when you find the right coach, or group coaching or different system. It's basically what you're looking for. Sometimes people just need a little bit more community. Sometimes people need sometimes people need a little bit more structure. Sometimes people need a little bit like the ability to hear, like, hey, just let it go, it's okay. So it's all good. Brittany, yeah, I definitely am there with the checklist, but today I had to decide that I can't do a workout because I would have get up at 3 a.m. to do it before work. Yeah. And again, listen, when we look at like, grit, grinding, professional athletes, Tiger Woods out there hitting golf balls forever, Serena Williams, like, and Venus, like what they did coming up, LeBron, like just professional athletes, right? But, at that level, it takes that. And it takes that level of persevering through the difficult things, right? But they're also solely focused on that. If we take that and move it over into our careers, sometimes we have that in our career where it's like, hey, like I'm all in on this thing, right? Especially earlier in your career, to like really make some big jumps, or to make a lot of money, or to make a massive impact. So there are these things that like kind of come into play when we start like trying to do it in like 3, 4, 5 things, right? Domains. That's when it's like, it's really hard to keep that juggling act going all the time, right? And so I've worked with Olympians. It's not, I'm not telling them like, hey, you need to like always take off. But, like I've saw some athletes that were just afraid to take off. They didn't have the confidence. And then right next to them was like an Olympic medalist. And you're like, I'm fried from yesterday, right? I've had a really hard training block. I'm taking today off, because they had the confidence to do it, right? So, yeah, and we just keep seeing time and time again, like if you're getting less than 7 hours of sleep, like you become 40% more likely to get injured, right? And so this like training hard, waking up early, or like there's times and places for it. Okay, it's just like there's situations where it's like it makes sense to do, right? To get up early. I've been there. We've all been there. Like if you're going to go away for a weekend, or something like that, and you're not going to be able to run, like then yeah, you can bite off a little bit more than you can chew in that instance. So, it it happens. Okay. But I'm talking a little bit more about the consistent checklist, like the consistent, like I got to do this and we're exhausted. So yeah, sleep for sure. Yeah. What about when days of the week can't be consistent? What do you mean by that, Nicole? Give me an example. When I was a new runner, I definitely freaked the fuck out if you took away like from my training plan. Now that I've gone through a few cycles, I'm more zen about it. A couple miles won't ruin me. Yeah, like one session is not going to be, yeah, a couple miles, not likes. Okay, it's all good. Yeah, it comes down to exposure, confidence, trust. These things in our own bodies, which can be really challenging, right? And so sometimes, I've had some athletes like, hey, let's just do a consultation, and it's like, one, 30-minute, 45-minute talk. And they're like, like I give them the freedom to like let some shit go and to have a different structure. And it's just like really comforting. Again, not talking my own book here, like, um, whoever it is, like not just a friend, right? Like, cause a friend isn't always a coach. Right. And so even though they have experience, doesn't mean, they're always have the right advice. Right. If I'm trying to be in the C-suite, CEO, COO, CFO, CTO, whatever, like, I'm not necessarily going to talk to a middle manager about like what it takes to be in the C-suite, right? However, sometimes if you ever hear anti-fragile talking to the janitor, or someone at the lower levels, who really have like see it all, sometimes they give you the best advice. So anyway, like long run days can't be every Saturday or quality days every Monday. Yeah. So my wife's a nurse and I've coached nurses before. And this is like a situation where, it's hard to be consistent. But then you have to like kind of create some rules. And Karen, I'll get to your question in a second on Facebook. Um, you got to create some like simple rules. Like you can't have 2 quality days back to back, right? And then at some point you have to like just like cut something out to like not stuff it in. And that I'm telling you, it gets really challenging with nurses. My work schedule is all over the place, so I do long runs on different days. Yeah, listen, it's okay. It's okay to have a flexible schedule. Your body doesn't always love it, and it just presents more challenges, right? And that's okay. All right. You just need to know you're more susceptible to stuffing things in. That's all I'll say. Right. So just being mindful. What's up, Irene? If I said that correctly. Oh, your doctor. Yeah. So it's rough. Yep. 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 Yeah. Some doctors, they have like set schedules, but like a surgery can go longer or whatever, and something gets skipped. It's the ones that are like, if you're in the hospital and stuff. So my wife's in the hospital on the PCU, and she's not even an athlete and it's challenging, but I've coached a few people, a night nurse on med surge, someone in the cardiac, surgery center, switching days and nights. That's really challenging. So, oh yeah, emergency med. Yep. Yep, for sure. So, all right, Karen. Also there with the checklist. This week had to switch to the bike because I have a touch of plantar fascia. It's hard not to do the workout plan, but I know the long run it will be better to take time off. Yeah. So it's kind of like, again, if training is a checklist, then you got to check that box, right? But I'm going to say there's sneaky ways of checking the box, like you just said, right? So if plantar fasciitis, so the pounding is bothering you, right? We can switch from plan A to plan B and get we still get the metabolic, we still get the coordination, we get a workout, we get all the hormone and neurotropic like releases and stuff like that, which is fantastic, right? Um, and so we're still getting something in, but lesser, right? But if you were like also exhausted and you had to get up early to do it, that's when you might skip it. And I'm telling you, like, I have clients that like don't tell me stuff's up for like 72, like 3, 5, 7 days. And then when like sometimes at that point, it's like harder to triage, right? And we go from there. So Anyway, Arian, I can't say your name. You have to tell me it phonetically. I apologize. But okay, hi. Can you recommend a good training program for my first half marathon? I'm running Philly in November and I'm overwhelmed by all the apps. Yeah. So I'm hearing this more and more, like Runna, app, and Garmin has stuff, and what happens is, like, like, it's looking at what you did and it's like changing things so dynamically. So like you look at your plan on like Sunday for the week, and then if you miss something, it like adjusts your plan. And trust me, it's 15 years ago, I was trying to like create one of these in a spreadsheet, like a decision tree. And so when this stuff comes out, I was like, oh, it'd be super dynamic. But I had a client who was training for a half marathon and using a Garmin plan. And, like, if we changed something, it would like change his whole week of sessions, and he was like, this is driving me nuts. Like, I can't plan for it. So it could be really challenging there. So to answer your question with that, Team Wilpers has static plans. Again, I think that's a good place to start. You have to navigate some things on your own, but it's like $9.95 a month. It's all access. You have access to 5K, 10K, half, and full marathon training plans. There's like novice, intermediate, and there might be expert. I forgot. I haven't looked in a while. And that's a good place to do like a beginner plan and to have some structure for you that's set, and you can kind of look at it and plan your schedule around it and make sure it adapts to you a bit more. So yeah, so you just pay $10 a month, and go from there. We also have, I do consultations and stuff. So sometimes, like, to help people like in the middle of it, like because every person is running into like unique problems. Like, Brittany saying is like being a medical doctor and whatnot, or nurse, and my nurse is here. It's like, how do I make it work for my schedule? Or how do I navigate this holiday or, vacation, in there? And a lot of people are going to just be like, I'm going to get it done. But sometimes it's like, as I say, it's like kind of letting go of the sponge to absorb everything. It pays dividends. So anyway, yes, but John, yeah, Coach Ferry has you on a good plan. Oh, so if you just go to teamwhelpers.com, here, I'll just put it in. Team Whelpers. And again, I work for them, so I'm biased, but I've seen a lot of people have some good stuff. All access. Okay, so it's the all access membership. I'm going to put it in here. Absolutely, yeah. So there's team membership, which is free. We have free run challenges and stuff. And then we have this all access, which is $9.95 a month. And you can sign up for a plan. And it has like a web portal, and it'll tell you what your session is. You can check it off that you did it, and it tracks some things. And you can get your paces and stuff based on this like assessment, 20-minute test. And then again, we have private coaching as well. And we do consultations to help people navigate it. So yeah. What's up, Nora? What's up, Tim? What's up, Shope? So yeah, so we're talking about training plans. It's very easy to make them a checklist and just going through them. And it's a mistake that a lot of people make, is being really stuck to that checklist and having to check the box. Best athletes are letting their bodies dictate what they're doing. And again, it doesn't mean like we're going to be like, hey, like, I feel a little tired today, I'm backing off. I'm talking about egregious shit, like you're exhausted and it's just going to make it awful. Or you did you worked overnight, like a 24-hour shift, and then you're trying to do the long run the next day. It's really not going to work. Austin, I'm not open right now. I'm full. But you can go on my website or click in my bio and DM me, and I can put you on my wait list. Uh, I have like 5 or 6 people on the wait list, and I open up things, applications and stuff in September, October. And then we go through that process to see what's going on and see if I'm a good fit and if I can make a positive impact in your athletic journey. So DM me and I'll get you on the wait list. And I'll just need your email or contact or something like that. So how's your training going? First time doing Team Opers group training. I love it. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you're having a positive experience. So, so my crew on Facebook, we're talking about training as a checklist. All right, and getting away from that and seeing your training plan. You know, the coach that wrote it is really thinking in a system, right? That each session interacts with the one before and after it, right? And sometimes, you know, again, I'm not trying to be the one like, don't train, skip everything. It's just like when you're really trying to stuff things in and you're forcing it and you're tired, but you feel accomplished for getting it in. Like sometimes those are the ones that push us over the edge. You know, like if you're like sick or injured and you're looking at your, you know, your smartwatch and saying your HRV has been going down for 2 weeks, you know, and but you never listened to it, you know, because you didn't trust it or you didn't know how to work with it. You know, that's where it's like, you know, that checklist gets you into some trouble. So yeah, I'm curious what's popping up for you all. Facebook, you can comment and we can see what's going on and answer some questions. Loving the crew on Instagram and YouTube. Appreciate you all. So curious what you guys been up to. Any fun vacations coming? I don't know what I'm doing this year or where I'm going. I usually go to the Finger Lakes and spend a lot of too much money on boxes of wine, although we love it. I love sharing the wine over many months with loved ones and whatnot. Where's my kitty? Hey, what are you doing? See if my cat will join us. Here. 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 No, she's being shy. What? Come on. Come say hi to everyone. Oh, the real Dan Decker. What's up? Here is my favorite kitty. This is Toothless. We found her at a year old, stray cat. My wife thought we were dumping her back out because she would hiss at us and for 2 months, but it was COVID. And I was home in COVID. And so I would just say sweet things like, hi, hello. What? What? Hi. Hi, Toothless. Okay, you want that? Ooh, she's a porker, though. She eating her brother's food. Buying a house in San Francisco, no vacation. No vacation, although you just had a little vacation. So what's up, Too Strong? What's up, Matt? Talking about how training shouldn't be a checklist. It should be a system. And we're enjoying a little IPA. Okay. And, all right, Austin. Training is going well. Planning on proposing my girl. Ooh, don't let the cat out of the bag here. I'm thinking of doing it somewhere. Oh, that would be beautiful. Well, enjoy that. It's a very special moment. That's amazing. I remember proposing to my wife. She doesn't really love the woods, but in COVID, we would hike this trail. And what I did is there was a tree. We carved our initials like 2 years previous. And then what I did was I carved "Will you marry me" like around our initials. And then I brought her down to it. I had the ring. And again, she doesn't love being in the woods. And you had to like go through just like 2 steps towards the tree was a little brushy and like a little leafy. And she's had Lyme disease and stuff like me, but pretty bad. Anyway, so I brought her in and I was like, look, see if someone like wrote something around it. And she looked, she's like, it's still there. And but she was like nervous about ticks. And I was just like, look, read what it says. She's like, will you marry me? I was like, yeah, will you? And I got on one knee and she's like, is this really happening? Anyway, good times. What is, oh, yeah. Okay. So this is getting in the way. Nice. All right. Yeah, I tried telling her that. And she caught a good one. But anyway, yeah, curious, any questions? I'll hang out for another couple minutes. Any questions regarding training, about anything? Oh, Roberto's recommending Angel's Landing if you don't get a yes. That's dark. I don't know, Austin, if you know Rob, or you guys know each other. Although you were both in Chicago last year, so maybe you do, but he reads it all in good humor. That's, yeah, she doesn't send her off the edge. Or because we're talking about now, is it like recorded and premeditated? Well, I appreciate you all hanging out with me. I'll hang out for another minute. If you haven't yet, join my newsletter. It's free. It's a great way to get access to me and my ideas and my concepts and my coaching philosophies. You can go in my bio and Instagram, or you can go jharriscoaching.fit, FIT, and you can sign up there for the newsletter. 400 plus people, free 5-minute read twice a month, the 1st and 15th. All right. And I'm generally talking about the art of training, um, and there's other coaches that are getting deep into the science or whatever. I just find those, it's like, okay, but how do you apply it to what's going on? As a teacher, we were always taught, like, you're trying to teach math and different stuff inside the real world, right? Real world examples go a long way. It's not easy, but anyway. Okie dokie. Cool. All right. I'm going to go spend time with my wife. Getting ready for Ted Lasso coming out in 2 days. New season. Exciting. But appreciate you all engaging. We'll see you next Monday. Sorry for the late one. I had to get my nephew to parkour. My brother was getting home late, and my little nephew sick. So, all right, everyone, have a good one. Nighty night. See you all later.